and welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your host, Daniel.
And Daniel.
Daniel, I see we're both dressed spooky-like today.
Yeah, but
wearing
mine's
all
more
black.
spooky.
Yours is, mine is business professional.
So yeah, I'm ready to record, and I'm really getting into the spooky season, so...
That's right. I've been playing so many good spooky games lately. That's been kind of my focus. I recently just picked up that Horrified game that I so happened to almost steal from your collection.
Yep.
Listeners to last week's podcast
right
will know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's so good. So good. I'm glad I got it in my collection.
I do enjoy it. I liked it. I rate it almost up there with the Universal Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I just really love the Universal Monster movies. But it is better than the Cryptids.
Oh, yeah.
It's much better. I love the board. Quite beautiful board. I love the lair aspect of the game. And I just recently replayed it again on Saturday. Got our butts handed to us. We defeated the Basilisk, that's it.
Oh, wow. And I thought the Basilisk was going to be the hard one.
No, he was easy.
Yeah,
easy.
He's easy to beat.
Yeah, that's why he's low grade, because all you have to do is, hey, you bless these, they get a +2, and then whatever you need after that. Right. To the point where we had a bunch of 6s up there, +2. We didn't, no, we had exactly 30. We didn't have to give up anything just to fight him with those.
Oh, wow. That's funny. Yeah, I genuinely thought it was going to be a lot more difficult. When we first played it, we're like, oh my gosh, you need a 30. Oh, wait, you can use these? Oh, yeah, you can do that. Oh, and they're +2 each? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too easy.
But we also played, we played against the Siren. It was my wife and our other friends. We played it on Sunday. That's when we played it. We played against the Siren, and we played against the, it wasn't the Minotaur, it was the other one we didn't play against. Not the
Cerberus.
Cerberus. It was Cerberus.
Yeah, Cerberus, yes,
yeah.
The door.
Yeah, that one, we completed the Siren, and we were going to go start to fight her, but we ran out of cards. Because Cerberus' special ability, he topped the deck, so he takes one off the top of the monster deck.
Oh, wow.
So he makes it faster, so every time he activates and you roll the dice and you get the exclamation point, he takes a card off the top of the deck.
It hurts.
Yeah.
That genuinely hurts. Oh, no.
Yeah.
That game always normally ends in kind of a tight spot, but ooh.
So we got the last of the Siren. We beat the Basilisk because that was the easiest one. We got close to the Siren. We finished the top part. We were getting ready to go fight her. We just had enough green to go do it. And Cerberus, we had most of the door done. We had to do the main part of the door to open it. We've already found his lair and everything, but yeah. Because he activated a few times and rolled the exclamation point almost every time. So he took about 4 or 5 cards off the top of the monster deck.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, why not?
Yeah, so it was fun, though.
That's brutal. I mean, I want to play it again, but yeah, I haven't played those ones yet. No, wow.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a trio one of these nights and see if we can get through all 3 of them. Like the gauntlet of the Forbidden Island.
The desert.
Yeah, exactly. You have to play the same color character. You have to play all 3 games, winning all 3.
When you randomize it in the first game, you have to play that character all the way through.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
You in?
Yeah, I'm down to do that.
We're doing a Horrified gauntlet. I love it. All right. Well, with that being said, spooky season, you brought it up at the beginning of the episode. We're going to be doing an episode. We've been doing the past 2 episodes. Have been already dark themed. The first one was some kind of monster theme or whatever it was.
Well, we did the top 8 debate, murder mystery.
Murder mystery. And then last week's episode was a Chits and Giggles episode where we talked about what games, if our collections had to be purged, which is definitely a nightmare scenario, which ones we'd steal from each other's collections.
Yep.
And then this week, we're going to be talking about a studio that is specializing in scary, spooky season games. And that's Trick or Treat Studios.
They mostly specialize now. They have that classic line.
Right, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring this up a little bit more when we actually get there, but I had the pleasure of meeting a few of the guys that are the main guys who are involved in the actual Trick or Treat Studios, the game side, and they're pretty important as far as their actual business too.
Oh yeah, because
this is a small portion of it.
Yeah, the games are just kind of a small section of what they do, because they do Halloween masks, the mask. They do some really good ones too. Yeah. Because I think they're visual effects people from what I'm seeing there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There are FX professionals, but they also do a lot of people who like their anime statues or their video game statues. They do the same thing, but for the horror side of things.
Exactly. Yep. So we're going to be talking about them a little bit more. But before we've been doing that, Daniel, we now do news now, which is crazy to think about.
Only once a month.
Only once a month, yeah. I mean, I don't know too many people who are going to tune in specifically for our news, but the fact that you and I have such an eclectic background in the first place.
Yeah.
We try to get some news that you might have heard on Dice Tower. We try to get some news that you might have heard on Watch It Play. We try to get some news that you might have gotten emails for if you're in the right places.
Yeah.
And we try to get news that you might not have heard of. That's kind of my goal. I don't know about yours.
Yeah, pretty much. I just go like different places where I can find news, something that sounds interesting to me. I pull it up. I'll write this. I'll look into it. Like there was one point where I announced something that not a lot of people have talked about. I only just randomly found it because I got an offer to pre-order it on Miniature Market, and it was for the new Horrified system.
Yes.
I was the one that said they're coming up with the Greek monsters. They didn't even have a cover title for it.
Right.
They just said Horrified Greek monsters, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly. No, and I'm glad you did, because that's such a good, important tool that we have that we're doing this. So we have a lot that we're going to talk about. Hope you guys enjoy the news. Do you have anything to go off of or talk about before we get into the news part of it?
No, not really. I have my 4 pieces of news and I'm ready to go.
That's right. On brand. We're sticking with 8. Here we go. You'll be starting us off.
Okay, so the first piece of news is a bit of an old news thing, but I did tell you that I was going to bring it up next time we did the news because Game Nerds sent me their statistics for Nerds Day, which was in early August. So they got this to me towards the end of September, and we didn't get to talk about it, or like mid-September before. Last time we talked about the news, it was after.
Yeah, it was very shortly after.
So this is interesting facts about the Game Nerd stats that they had. So first off, there was 200,000 unique visitors to GameNerds.com that day.
That doesn't mean everybody bought everything, but
no, not everybody bought, but everybody checked stuff out.
Yep.
There was 30,000 orders placed that day, a 50% increase from the year before, 2022.
Yep.
They sold 600 copies of Brass Birmingham. They sold it out in 3 minutes.
Which is pretty crazy.
Wingspan Asia also sold 600 copies. They sold out in a minute. At the time they sent me this letter, they were filling twice as fast as they did in 2022, and I kind of knew that to be true because at the same time they did Nerds Day in 2022, they were also moving warehouses, so all that stuff that was a slog down. At the time, they estimated they were going to be done shipping everything out from Nerds Day on September 8th. I don't know if they hit that goal or not, but the fact that they were getting it done in 3 weeks after 30,000 orders placed, that is impressive.
That really is.
So I thought that was just an interesting bit of news. I know it's a little bit late news, but no one I saw ever broke down the stats that they did for Nerds Day.
Right, and very few companies do that. I mean, 20,000 orders is crazy. 30,000 orders is just insane. And I believe they said something along the lines that they were planning on fulfilling it by the end of the month or something like that.
Oh yeah, all
it was only like a few weeks worth.
All stuff should be ready to go. It was supposed to be the 28th of August. All stuff was supposed to be ready to go. Yeah. Everything shipped out by the 8th of September. That was crazy. And the fact that they sold 600 copies of Brass Birmingham in 3 minutes and 600 copies of Wingspan Asia, they sold 1,200 copies of games in 4.5 minutes.
Yes.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's obscene. Honestly, that's absolutely gross. But it's awesome, and congratulations to Game Nerds. Hey, if you want to sponsor us for talking about this, just let us know. We'll be happy. Email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com.
Don't worry, we're still...
You can send your hate mail to Daniel at everydayboardgames.com.
No, they wouldn't send it to me. They like me. I buy them for them all the time.
That's true. I've bought once. No, I've bought more through you than I have.
I'm making an order. Hey, can you get me this?
Yeah, anyway. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is something that they officially announced, and they talked about it a little bit at the Gamma trade show this year, and they finally showed off some of the product. Pegasus Spiel has announced that they are doing the newest Micro Macro, which is the 4th in the quadrilogy, and along that, they are releasing a bonus box, which is maybe some scenarios, maybe some extra little packs of some kind that have to do with all 4 maps. And apparently at the most recent Essen Spiel, they actually had a printout of the 4 maps as one large map.
Yeah.
Which I think, if my estimates were about right, it's about 6 feet tall, 10 feet wide.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Something like that,
Which leads a lot of people to ask, who asked for this? I don't think anybody necessarily asked for it, but I've already liked all first 3 games. And when they revealed that information to me during Gamma, I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, no.
Like, is it necessary? Absolutely not.
Yeah, and the thing is, like,
awesome.
most people are going to have to do it like freaking architect blueprints, where it's like, here's the top sheet, all right, flip it over.
Yep. All right, here we go. All right, everybody go. And I'm sure that they actually accounted for some of that. I don't think there's going to be too many scenarios. At least that would be really mean if you had to, like, completely, like, backtrack back and forth. Now, I'm sure there's going to be at least one scenario that starts in one
map and
then goes to all 3.
4.
Yeah, or all 3 others, yeah. Which is really intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I would gladly like to do it. Each of the scenarios I've ever seen, each of the crimes that we solve, it just has a humorous story. It's just silly, and it's just an overall fun experience. So I like it a lot, and I was excited to hear that news. Micro Macro getting the bonus pack and their 4th one. Which they did say that that's done with the Crime City series.
Okay.
Which, of course, everyone else said, oh, well, they're done with the Crime City series. They're just going to do another Micro Macro.
Yeah. It's just not going to be Crime City or something.
It's not going to be Crime City.
Watch they're going to get the Where's Waldo license.
Now, if they got the Where's Waldo, can you imagine that, though? That would be fantastic.
It'd be fun, turning Where's Waldo into actually a really good game.
Yeah.
No, but I was remembering why, because I'm like, I remember us talking about this, but only in passing. It wasn't because of the last news period.
Right.
We were talking about it because Micro Macro was in the Murder Mystery Top 8 debate, and that's when we talked about the expansion.
That's right. So my first bit of news. On to our second?
Mm-hmm. To you.
All right. My second bit of news was something that we had predicted, actually, that I thought very, very keen should have been a thing long ago that I've been wanting during our big box episode. And now, since that episode, there has at least been a couple of big boxes. This one right above my head right here, the yellow one, that still doesn't fit the tree, which is stupid.
It fits the tree, just not built.
Well, duh. Same with the base set. It's dumb. Anyway, Everdell got a big box, but one of the main ones that I said, actually, this was number 1 on my list.
I think it was number 1 on both of our lists.
Right. And that was just because I wanted the tree to be put in there, because otherwise it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the one that I really was pushing for...
Oh, yeah. That's what I was saying. This one was on both of our lists. I know which one you're talking about.
Century Spice Road.
Mm-hmm.
This one needed a big box because all 3 boxes have a lot of overlapping components, but they could be played separately.
Yeah.
And their 3 boxes were put together as a long, continuous piece of art. Whatever it's called, mosaic?
Mosaic, I believe.
No, it's not a mosaic. Mosaic is like tiles and stuff. Mural.
Mural, there you go.
Yeah, and it's just one long piece of art.
It's
beautiful, yeah. And you could have easily just put it in one big box with one piece of art. And they decided not quite to do that. It's kind of like more of a regal look, but it looks very pretty.
Yeah.
And they're finally only going to need to use the components from that. Now, the only thing is, I don't know if this is just a box to put your games in.
Both.
Oh, are they?
You could buy the big box that has all the games in it, or you could just buy the big box that comes with a small expansion that they're including with the big box.
Oh, I see.
To put your already existing stuff into it.
Good. That's the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Give people
Next move
options.
games, or Plan B games, yes. That is the right choice to make. Thank you for giving those options. I want that big box already because I have all 3 games and I've been wanting to put them in one box. And I actually believe that I could have, if done my Tetris moves,
and honestly,
I could have put them in one.
Yeah, you take
box.
out the insert, you bag the cards that you need to bag. You only keep one set of
the tokens. Yep.
Yeah, and it works fine.
Yeah, exactly. Put the coins in the cups. Put the cups in the corner. Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad.
You might have a little bit of backlist, but that's about it.
Yeah. Either way, so that's going to be my second piece of news. Century Big Box. Century Spice Road Big Box Edition.
Yeah.
Tongue twister. Sorry.
Yeah, so my second piece of news is not good news. We were just discussing this before.
We were just discussing it.
Yeah, we were just discussing it before we were doing this way. We didn't have overlapping news.
Yep.
The one I'm going to talk about here, especially since the Essen Spiel just happened, this was back in September. Haba declared bankruptcy. The Haba game company.
Yep.
They already had massive layoffs earlier in the year. They are closing their clothing line, which I think was only in Europe.
I had no idea.
I had no idea they had a clothing line, and they're doing a massive restructure. Hopefully, it doesn't affect the gaming side of stuff too much.
Right.
Our heart goes out to the people who got laid off. The clothing line, that's a lot of people that got laid off there too. And I hope Haba stays around because there are some of the best children's game and family games out there. They make some of the best quality stuff. I hope the quality doesn't go down, but I can understand if they got to make some cost-cutting efforts and stuff like that because those wood chunky pieces for the kids' game are phenomenal. But yeah, so unfortunately, Haba did declare bankruptcy, I believe, in Germany or in the EU. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, from what I understand, it's just a restructuring bankruptcy.
Right. It's not. I mean, no bankruptcy is good, but this is the kind where they reshift some stuff around, fix things.
It's not a liquidation. Bankruptcy.
Yeah. Exactly, where they have to sell off assets and everything.
Yeah, so there might be some assets that get sold off. It is more along the lines of they're just putting an internal focus on certain things. So hopefully they come back strong.
There you go. I hope so too. On to our third piece of news.
This is to me, and so I'm going to go ahead and talk about one that you and me both decided to talk about, and you're like, okay, you can do it.
I can take it off my list.
The reason why I want to do this one is I want to leave my last one because, it's a Halloween kind of thing. This is a game announcement that you and me are both excited about. Because why?
Stefan Feld.
Deep Print Games is working with Stefan Feld to create a new game called Civolution. It is, you're basically deities in a civ building game, so you're creating civilizations as different deities. And this is what got me: tech tree dice placement.
Yes. Yeah. And let's be real. I mean, it's not going to be a real civilization game. It's really not. We're not looking for a theme. Yeah. We're looking because it's Stefan Feld.
It says Stefan Feld. But even then, dice placement, I love tech tree. I have Tech Tree, the board games, right there, right above your head, Beyond the Sun. So I love that kind of stuff. So, in the fact that it's a Feld game, of course you and me are interested in it. We're Feldians.
Absolutely, yeah. No. And this has been, other than the Queen games lately, this has been, his only real new one. Lately.
Yeah.
So, it's good to see.
There's two new Queen ones, Marrakesh, and I can't remember what the other one is supposed to be coming with... the next set that's supposed to go on Kickstarter. But yeah, there you got those. This one, everything else is just stuff that's coming back to print. So
yeah, exactly. So, granted, he never had more than one big game a year anyway. But it seems like it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, I can't even think. Marrakesh, I think, was the last new game, and that's been several. Or that was announced, and we just received it recently, but it was announced for 2021?
Something like that.
Yeah, and so it's been a hot minute since new game, because I can't think of another one. Castles of Tuscany, maybe? Right. Was the last new one, but that was more of a re-implementation of already solid design.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see the cover. Deep Print Games, they're pretty good. They have a good.
I don't know much about them.
They have no, I'm thinking of Deepwater Games. I was gonna think of the flipping right one, but that's Blue Cocker, and they went with Deepwater. So we'll see. I'll look more into them later. But the fact that they announced Civolution and Stefan Feld, Tech Tree Dice Placement.
Yep. Yeah. Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, third piece of news I wanted to talk about was something that I'm actually surprised you didn't even bring up. It's a new game from one of our favorite designers.
That narrows it down. Phil Walker Harding?
Uh-huh.
I figured
it's actually kind of a remake.
I think I figured this one was going to be on your news.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about it. This is Silver and Gold Pyramids.
Yeah, Pyramids, yeah.
And it's a pyramid-themed version of Silver and Gold. Because we discussed this later, or back in the day, is that Pandasaurus said that they're just not going to make Silver and Gold again, and we wanted it to be remade. We were like, man, you know what, it needs to stay in print. And I do see it every once in a while in the wild where people have the chance to buy it.
Mainly at Target.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I'm surprised why people don't buy it yet, because it was really just a fantastic little
flipping right.
Yeah. So I definitely encourage you to go try to buy it if you get a chance to. But for those of you who don't see it in the wild or can't buy it, the new one, Pyramids, is coming out soon. It looks mostly like a remake. There's a couple little changes here and there.
Yeah, it's more archaeology theme rather than pirate, I guess, or treasure hunting.
Yeah, treasure hunting. But even if they had it just a re-theme, I'm still going to buy it.
Oh yeah, I'm still going to get it. I'll keep both copies. I love that game a lot. And I knew you were going to talk about this because anytime Phil Walker Harding news comes up,
yeah,
it goes to you.
I tend to go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm just surprised that you didn't.
It was on my short list.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Like I said, it was just. Like,
I was hoping for that like dramatic like what? Like how did I not hear that?
Yeah.
Oh well.
No, I knew it was coming, but I'm like, he's gonna talk about that. I know he probably gonna talk about the Feld, but just in case, because sometimes you don't catch the news that I catch.
Yeah.
I have more free time to look at stuff.
Yeah, probably.
No, I do. You work Monday through Friday, and you deal with students all day, so.
Monday through Saturday.
Oh, that's true. You also have your side gig.
Yep, I also have side gigs. Anyway, but yeah, and that's my third piece of news. On to our final piece of news.
Alrighty.
For this week's episode. Alright, we've just been going back and forth. So, this last piece of news was something that I thought was really intriguing. And this is definitely intriguing from my point of view as a game designer. Mm-hmm. But from other companies, there is a bunch of different companies that do like Pledge Manager, that do like Kickstarter variation, like all this stuff, right? And one of the biggest ones is called BackerKit. Mm-hmm. Have you heard about that? Yeah, you heard about this news?
No, what is going on with there? But I just know BackerKit. So.
Okay, so BackerKit, yeah, they were originally they were just a company that handles, Pledges. People pledging on Kickstarter, and they created a system to help it work out. Then they created their own crowdsourcing. What's that?
BackerKit's the worst system, but yes.
Right. Well, there's plenty of opinions anywhere, but yeah, I mean, I don't use them that much, but. They created their own crowdsourcing campaign or platform where you could do that as well. But they made a very bold move where they announced that that all projects that solely rely on AI generated content or art will be instantly banned.
Oh, okay.
They are absolutely not going to allow it. Okay. Which is crazy because like I know recently there was a couple of companies that say that they do AI art just because of it, and I had some long discussions about AI because I'm a fan of AI generative stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily use it as a commercial product or help.
No, we did kind of. AI came up with our next week's segment.
Oh well, it came up with the title.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we came up with the segment, but yeah. But, okay, you're not wrong on that. But spoiler alert. Yeah, we have another segment that came out that we asked AI for a name, and that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
But really, that's like the only thing I've ever used in a production like any of this. And I, in full honesty, I've even asked like board game designers. It's like, what are your guys' thoughts on like different levels of AI? Should you use it as a prototype? Should you use it in a pitch? Should you use it as if you're just a single game designer who can't just afford it and you're trying to get your games out to the public? Like it's hard to get just open source images. Or if you're definitely not a graphic designer, I've gotten better over the years, but I'm not a good graphic designer. Yeah, I've gotten functional over the years, which is better than non-functional. And I've toyed with that idea. It's like, man, like how bad is AI? Like I get a lot of the tones of it, and I totally agree with 100% of the artists because I have a lot of art in my family and a lot of artists as friends.
I think the big part of it is because the way the AI works is because it's actually pulling from actual art.
Right. It had to use actual artists' concepts. Yeah. And that 100% I agree with because if. Like, I was talking to an author this last weekend, which I'll be talking about in the next episode, and she was saying like, yeah, like this is. She was like, I stopped using Google Docs just in case they agree to start pulling AI from it. Mm-hmm. She was like, if Google comes up to me and says, hey, we'll pay you $1,000 for every book you've written, she was like, I'm gonna start writing more books then. It's like absolutely, I would sell that, because that's hilarious.
See, my thing with the AI, like, I understand the art side of it.
Yeah.
My thing is, like, if you're using it to help clean up your writing skills or stuff like that, it's a tool. It's a tool that you need to use. if I use it to help me clarify rules and to fix it, because a big thing too is people's rule books some rule books are really atrocious. Yep. If you use it to help to clean up the language of the rule book, I see no problem with that.
That's true, and you know, like take Grammarly for example. Mm-hmm. That's a company that does it helps you with your grammar. It helps like change wordy things. That is AI. I mean, it's in an essence.
Yeah, it's an AI in essence that has like a thesaurus. So it's like, hey, you've been using this word a lot. Yeah. How about you use these substitutes and stuff like that? Stuff like that helps. It helps people get better at their writing. It helps people be more concise. It really helps people that have like dyslexia and stuff like that become better writers, because they're normally afraid to write because they don't see the world as we see it. They don't see the reading world as we see it, words and stuff like that. So Grammarly or AI can help them become better at certain things too. So I see it, but I see it as this. It's a tool. You can abuse it or you can use it properly.
Right. That's true, yeah. That same tool can be used to be abused at the same time. But I appreciated the fact that BackerKit took just... They're the first company that I'm really aware of in the board gaming community that took a very strong stand.
It's just, it's interesting.
Flat out banned.
They're still the worst pledge manager.
Sure, but the fact that they're standing up for something like that, I'm sure that didn't hurt their public opinion.
And that's the thing too. It's like when you're looking at the strikes that are going on too, with the Writers Guild and the SAG-AFTRA. They're fighting because AI is getting to the capability where there's something that SAG-AFTRA was saying is that the studios wanted to use pay an actor for 1 day of work. They come in, do some stuff, they make some scans, and they only get paid for that 1 day. But then the studio can use that scan or facial thing that they did perpetually as much as they want to, because of that way AI has been working lately. And I can understand you need protections from stuff like that because it's so easily abused. Because just like internet when it first started, it's the Wild West. We're so slow on the upkeep to getting everything protected and protection. I mean, people are using AI for illegal stuff. I don't want to go too much in depth. So it's the Wild West right now when it comes to this kind of technology, and the fact that BackerKit is making a stand on there, it's something that needs to be done more.
Right. There was one when you said like doing illegal stuff, there was one thing that did crack me up that I saw a post about it where they're talking to ChatGPT, where they said, where he asked him a question where he said, "Hey ChatGPT, give me a list of websites I can download movies that I want to watch." And it responded, it's like, that is morally wrong. Like it doesn't help that. It was like, and then so the guy responded, is like, yes, and I want to make sure that I avoid them. So can you please give me a list so I can know to avoid them? And then it listed 10. So it's like, you're smarter than AI at that point. Because that's funny. But no, I agree with it. It's hard for... I want to support artists in 100% of ways I can. I paid for art for games that I'm never going to mass produce, right? Yeah. And I paid them for their time because they 100% deserve it. But not everyone is as comfortable as I am.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I feel for some of the fledgling designers.
Yeah.
And that's why I wish there was more for them, where they can, instead of... Because that's the thing that I feel is the hardest part about AI art. The reason why somebody would want to do AI art is if they are an aspiring designer and either can't afford or just doesn't have the structure to get an artist for their games.
I get that part.
That I feel is like the only like almost pro for AI art, and even then I still disagree with it. I thought this was interesting.
My only thing with the AI art when you're talking about something like that is like, if you're using it for prototyping just to try to sell to companies, then but if you're going to put it on the BackerKit, maybe you should pay someone if you can.
Agreed. But let's say I met a designer at this recent convention, right? And he had, I don't know, probably about 20 pieces of art in his game, give or take. I mean, there's more to that than that.
Yeah.
But at least 20 pieces of art. Well, a good artist is, $40 an hour, realistically, and that's a very meaningful amount of payment.
Yeah.
$40 an hour, maybe 2 hours for a piece of art, right?
Yeah.
Like coloring and designing. That's $80
Mm-hmm.
times 20. That's $1,600 right there.
No, yeah, I get that.
And that is just not feasible
For some people, yeah.
for some people to be able to do. And that's just to make the data, the digital files of what they need to do. Then they gotta print it.
Mm-hmm.
With Kickstarter being a pre-order system now, that is so difficult for an aspiring designer.
Oh yeah, very much so. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to anything. There's a YouTuber I watch, Philip DeFranco. He talks about the news
Sure.
and stuff like that, and he talks about AI every so often. And everything he says, you got to be careful with it because right now is the worst AI's ever going to be from now on. It's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better. That's right. Yep. No, and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As someone who likes AI, I 100% I will have any artist back when they say do not use AI art. I 100% agree with it.
All right, so for my bit of piece of news after that digression,
that was huge. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that was good. This is going to be a short episode anyway. So
yeah, it's a great discussion.
So my last piece of news is an interesting news, and I kind of wanted to do this one because it's kind of a spooky theme. It's Dr. Frankenstein. It is a reprint of Frankenstein, which was a 2-player game set collection where one person's playing the Dr. Frankenstein, the other player's playing Igor. And you're doing a set collection. This is going to be reworking of the rules. It's made by the same designer, Michael Schott. You may know him from Scotland Yard in Zularedo, Colorado. It's going to have some slight rule changes and a streamlining. It's going to add 2 to 4 players rather than a 2-player game. It's called Dr. Frankenstein now, so It's intriguing for me like that. I thought it would perfect for like a Halloween news. So a reprint of a game from 2005.
Wow, yeah, that's
reworking.
Wow.
Yeah,
18 years from now.
Yeah, so everything I've read on the original Frankenstein is very abstracted. So I want to see if it's more than likely going to stay that same abstracted.
Are you a fan of Michael Schott games?
I like Zularedo.
Okay.
I haven't played Scotland Yard, so I looked at some of his games.
Oh, he didn't make Scotland Yard.
It said it was tagged on his thing.
I might be wrong, but I don't think he did. He did Metro, and they did.
It said Scotland Yard on his BGG, so that's why weird. I pulled it up. Yeah.
Okay, well then if that's the case, I stand totally corrected. But yeah, like I know I brought a few of his games that you were like.
Yeah. No, I like Zularedo. I haven't played Coloretto just because colors.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad.
Is it?
Yeah,
but I did play Zularedo. You showed it to me at your house. I think it was. It might have been when you were living with your in-laws when we played it.
Probably. It was a long time
ago.
I
did enjoy it though.
Awesome.
Cool. I did like that one. In fact, Zularedo's getting repicked too.
Yeah, that's all right. That's right. It's a lot prettier too.
Yeah, a lot prettier.
A lot prettier. I mean, that's one of the games that my wife wholeheartedly hates.
Really?
And I like it a lot, but she played it and she was like, that was the worst game she's ever played at that time.
I love the little trucks and the little animal. Mm-hmm. I'm a sucker for animal games. I love Arcova. I love zoo games like New York Zoo, even though there's like a little bit to deal with animals.
There's Aquaretto, where it was
I haven't played that one.
The water version of it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, well, let's get into our episode today. You're right, that was quite a divergent path. By the way, this episode brought to you by ChatGPT. No, totally not true. Hey, Illuminous, thanks for coming.
How's it going, Illuminous?
Your boop came in. Nice. All right, so we're going to be breaking down a company that just recently hit the scene not too long ago. That's why we said this is going to be kind of a shorter episode, and that's Trick or Treat Studios. Daniel, do you want to give them the description of Trick or Treat Studios?
Sure thing. Let me just switch this over real quick. There you go. Now you all can see Trick or Treat Studios is a commitment to bringing back the look and feel, the golden age of costumes making. They're also doing products. They're people from the FX industry, professionals, unique artists, mask making legends, and we were just touching on that earlier. Mm-hmm. They have beautiful masks. We were like really checking them out. Not this past gamma. You probably looked at them this gamma, but the gamma before they had them. But they have also announced a gaming division where they have designers with Richard Garfield, Emerson Natsuchi, Richard Lanius, Bruno Fedudi, David Gregg, I'm not even going to try that last name, and Thomas Lehman. Nick...
Badagliatica?
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to do that. But yeah, we've seen a lot of their games. I've played a few of them. One of the games I really, really enjoy, and I haven't even played it yet. Because it's a reprint of a game I've already played with the new cooler theme on it, and we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that in a bit. Now, as I briefly referenced earlier is I got a chance to sit down with these guys and meet quite a few of them at Gamma this year. There's two main heads that, and their names are not coming to me at the moment. I'm sure I could look and find their business card and find out later. But they are incredibly passionate about what they do. Yeah. That I really, really love the energy that they have.
Oh God, they're so fun.
The two main guys, one guy is very, calm, methodical.
I like the excitable guy.
Yeah, and then there's one guy who's just really animated. It reminds me of the Mythbusters.
Yeah, because the excitable guy, I remember because he kept he kept telling us, shoot him. And it was the rubber band game. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. But there's like a zombie game where it's got like these big chunky minis, and you're shooting rubber bands like, what is it, the Dead, God, what is that game called? Like the rail shooters back in the arcade style.
Yeah.
But you're using finger guns, and so.
Yeah, which is amazing.
It was
such a fun game. Yeah, and just this company, they're really passionate about what they do. They've been longtime mask and prop makers. They'd like to make like high quality props that are used for different things, replicas of movie props. One of the examples that they brought up that really excited me, the replica that you could buy of the Necronomicon from Evil Dead, that's like about $100-$150 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the level of quality that we're going with. And after they've been long established in different box stores, they were also incredible board gamers. They had longtime groups. They were playing games for 20 plus years or whatever as friends. And out of all that time, they finally saw a market where they're like, you know what? Now games are getting big enough where they can put their own little Halloween dark twist to them.
Yeah.
And reprint some of those old ones that they really loved playing, or work with some of the designers that they really respect, and then make some Halloween games that are really worth our time.
And the thing about it too is that they're taking games that are classics at one time and putting really cool themes on them now to follow into that Trick or Treat Studio aspect of it. But you also got to look at the fact that they also go in just the classic line and bringing back some really classic-ish games, but much better art. We'll get to that here in a minute.
That's right. Cool. So let's get down into it. As always with these breakdowns, the way it works is that we try to go through their entire gameography, starting with the oldest games that are on their list and going up until the newest games that have been released or not even released yet. Yep. So let's talk about those.
Here's the first one.
Our first one is LA1, which I'm not going to lie, I know nothing about this
Yeah,
one.
I know nothing. It's that work with other detectives to solve cases in the remains of Los Angeles. There's no votes on it. So I don't know if this ever got...
there is no release date.
Yeah.
So it's up in the air. It's more than likely it's probably upcoming releases. So we're going a little backwards right now.
Hey, it was at the bottom. So
it was on the bottom because there was no date. Now I do want to point out real quick because we're probably not going to come back to it. Richard Launius is one of the designers on this. Now, for those of you guys who are not familiar with Richard Launius, he used to work a lot with kind of like Fantasy Flight, some of them, and a lot of his stories or a lot of his games, really heavy story driven. They could take a few hours, sure, but he's really known for that. He's made games that are like Delve is basically like Carcassonne in a dungeon delve, but there's like multiple events and stories that build from it.
Okay.
So I already like this, like to solving cases in the remains of LA, a deduction game.
Yeah.
From Richard Launius.
Story-driven cooperative adventure game. You take on the role of detectives working for Mace and Doyle Investigations who are helping one another resolve cases in the post-apocalyptic city that was once Los Angeles. Each case can be played individually or as part of a campaign because of multiple cards that can send investigations in different directions. It's possible to play each case more than one time, having different situations. Oh man, that sounds really good.
Yeah. I'm already in. Knowing that accolades that are already on there. No offense to Teron Lewis Kratz or Pete Shuri.
Yeah.
I don't recognize those names at the beginning, but yeah. I mean, maybe it could be good, but Richard Launius, that's an accolade right there.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
All right, next one here, Nightmare Productions.
All right.
This is a re-implementation of Silver Screen, which is a Reiner Knizia game. So they even went with Knizia.
Yep.
It has a golden seal of excellence from Dice Tower, apparently. This is the auction one, right? Yeah, so you're producing movies, and in 4 rounds, your players are bidding and chips to represent genuine directors, actors, camera effects, and stuff like that. The way this one's, you're trying to pay for like actors like The Invisible Man, if I remember correctly, or The Mummy, and you're trying to make certain films and you're trying to score a certain amount of points. I'm not a big fan of bidding games, but this one has always intrigued me because of what is going on here.
Right. Is this a Knizia that you would actually buy for your collection?
I might. This is one of those I want to try it first.
Yeah.
Because it looks so interesting.
Yeah.
Because again, you're trying to put Dracula in, say, maybe a horror comedy movie or something like that. So it has different aspects of where you're trying to do, or hey, I don't have that kind of money, so let me just get like these bit actors. My movie might not be that good, but now I'm making more money for a better film later on.
That makes sense.
So I do want to try this. It looks very interesting. Very cool. I love the artwork, the cover artwork.
Yeah, the cover alone is like my favorite part. It's a mummy made up of film strip.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
Here's some of the pictures of the components there. Jim Henson's Muppets. I think this is from the original game.
Yeah.
What did we say it was called? I can't remember exactly. It wasn't Nightmare Productions. It was Silver Cinema or something like that. Silver Screen. Yeah. So those are the pictures. Some of the pictures from the old one. I think this is the board for the new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's some of the components and stuff like that. Looks really interesting. I do want to try. I believe I've seen copies of this at
Wait,
Target.
that's not the new one. There's no way, right?
From Barnes. I think so.
I don't think it is.
That's the old one.
Huh. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but it looks like an interesting game. I love the artwork and the cover and stuff like that. So.
Cool.
Moving on.
2 to 5 players. The next one we have is Halloween Party. Originally made in 2004. Also known as Talk 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 or Knock Knock. It's only rated 4.5, but it's Bruno Faiduti and who else is the designer?
Gueniel Boquin?
Yeah, exactly. Jolly Roger Games, Conga Games, and Trick or Treat Studio, and Asmodee.
So it's just a replay of like Knock Knock and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the idea, light, fast-paced card game for 3 to 6 players, as with Faiduti it normally is. Rules are very simple, and since it's pure bluff, it can be played with children as well as adults. Halloween night, host a big party in their dark castle, trying to attract the most interesting people, vampire, ghosts, and other monsters. Regularly, there is a knock at your door, knock knock. You must decide whether to open it or not. Each player tries to open up the nicest people to avoid unwelcome guests, such as pure souls that will scare your guests, as well as vampires sent to your opponents to lure the best guests to their castle. So really, what it is, I'm guessing, and I might be wrong, but I'm guessing it's like one of those like cockroach poker kind of thing, where I hand you a card. If you want it, you get it, and it's yours. If you don't want it, you're gonna hand it back to me, and I gotta keep it.
Okay.
First one to get like a certain number of things.
It is a set collection.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a big fan of like bluffing games either, and honestly, for me, Faiduti is hit or miss.
Yeah.
And mostly miss. I don't think there's a game that I've actually really loved of Faiduti's.
Right.
I enjoyed a few games here and there, but
There you go.
All right, the next one here is Tricks and Treats. We talked about this one before. This is Emerson Matsuchi. Original name. Here's the original cover. You actually own this one, right?
I used to.
Yeah.
I was not super impressed, and this was before Emerson Matsuchi got really big. Yeah, there was something about it that, I don't know, I didn't like much about it, but go ahead and describe it and I'll explain why I didn't like
you and your friends have just returned from a fruitful trick-or-treating journey, but now the real fun begins. The grown-ups attach to you and your friends to fairly distribute the candy pile. But all of you have something else in mind. Be the one to get the most candy at the end of the game to win. Each player takes turn placing candy into several numbered Hollywood candy baskets on the Halloween candy baskets on the table. The objective is to have the most candy in your basket by the end of the game. The catch is, if another player can figure out which basket is yours, she can tattle on you and bump you out of the game. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why you don't like that, because of kind of the player elimination.
No, I'm fine with player elimination. That's not the thing. It's literally one of those things where you have to purposefully play badly in order to do good, in a weird way. Okay. So, like, literally, what it is, you've played BS, like the card game, right?
No.
No, you never played that?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, so the way this works then, instead, is similar to that idea, where it's literally, you just draw a card of candy, and you put it in one of the basket cards. and then you're going to continue doing that, you can put it in yours or you can put it in somebody else's. The only thing is nobody knows who yours is. So if I'm like, say for example, that skull basket, right?
Yeah.
I don't want you to think that I'm the skull basket. I want to be able to put candy into it. Because whoever has the most candy in their basket wins at the end of the game.
Okay.
However, if at any time you truly believe that I'm the skull basket, you just be like, Danny, you're the skull basket. Then if I am the skull basket, I'm eliminated. If I'm not, you're eliminated.
Okay.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's like, that doesn't, it's not that great. Like, as good as that sounds, like, I mean, it's just not, like, it's okay. I mean, but you have to purposefully make other ones bad.
I will say this, the art is much better on this one than it was on the original.
Oh, by far. Oh, much. Like, that was really not impressive to me. And that was also in just a normal deck box, too. The original was in a deck box. This looks to be like one of those tagged, like, a little bit bigger boxes and a little bit better art. Gorgeous art, actually, really.
They're really nice art there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's better.
I don't know.
I'm not going to go out of my way to buy it.
If I find it for, like, on sale or out in the wild, maybe I'll pick it up.
Sure. All
right, next one here.
Next one, Zombie Mania. I am stoked to talk about this one. This is a remake, another Reiner Knizia called Tatari was the original one. The idea of Zombie Mania is quite simple. You have a bunch of zombie tokens on your mat. Start your turn with 0 zombie tokens, you win. Simple as that. Now, you're going to be rolling 8 dice, and every time you roll the dice, you have to put aside at least 1 zombie die. Now, have you seen this game? Or you've played it, right?
I haven't played it, but I've seen it, yeah.
Have you felt the pieces?
No.
Oh, those zombies are like 2 inches tall, and they're like hard Bakelite plastic. This is a really high quality game. Every player board is like a thick cardboard, beautiful art board.
Same artist from the last one.
Yes. No, this artist is awesome, and I love that.
Those are nice dice.
The dice are really nice. They're not inset. That's my only complaint with it.
Screen printed?
They are screen printed dice, but I've played it so many times and it hasn't been worn yet.
Okay.
So you roll 8 dice, and you have to set aside at least 1 zombie die. But then you can set aside whatever else you want. And then if you choose to roll after that, you roll whatever you haven't set aside. And again, you have to set aside at least 1 zombie die and whatever else you want. Because if you ever roll the dice and you can't set aside a zombie, then you bust and then your turn is over.
Okay.
But if you're able to set aside zombie tokens, which is what you really want, then you're going to be able to get rid of those zombie tokens. Now, if you roll a pair of like the same zombies, that's what you activate. So a pair of green zombies, that means you're going to move 1 zombie to the main board. That must be like a prototype board. That is absolutely not what what it normally looks like. But then you also have 3 other sides. You have gravestones, which you have to have a pair of gravestones to send them off of your mat.
Okay.
You can also roll a pair of houses, which means that if you get the gravestones and houses, you can send it to somebody else's mat.
Okay.
Probably means fewer zombies. But you can also roll a ×2. It's that little hand with the little X bones.
You see it right there.
Yep, as you can see on the screen. And that way you double the number of zombies you send to the other player.
Oh.
Now, I was playing this wrong for a number of months. When I found out about it, I was playing it. I was like, and I was still having a lot of fun. And I started talking to the guys from from Trick or Treat Studios, and he pointed out that I was playing it wrong. And the one little change ramped it to 11 for me.
Wow.
Because the change I was making, it's like as soon as you get rid of all the zombies on your mat, you win. And he's like, no, you need to start your turn with 0 zombies.
Oh.
Meaning if you empty it, everyone else has a chance to dump zombies on you. And what that ends up becoming is almost always 1 zombie just bouncing, hot potatoing between the players until eventually someone just can't get rid of it and they just lose, and then the following player wins.
Oh man, that's
it's hilarious when that happens.
That's kind of cool.
It ramped it so much higher for me. This is one of my go-to zombie dice games, really, but it's really one of my go-to Halloween games now.
Nice.
Zombie Mania.
All right, so the next game we're going to talk about is the one that isn't horror themed. It's part of the classic line. The next one here is Gold West. You and me have both played it.
Yep.
I love the new art.
I own the original one. Yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome, by the way. I still like to remind him.
Yep.
I want it, and I gave it to him.
I do appreciate that. It's not going to leave my collection.
The thing about it is, I like Gold West. It's a fine little game. It just wasn't something that's going to get played a lot unless it's in this group, and I know you liked it more than
I loved it a lot. Yeah.
I do love that cover. Vincent Dutrait art. I am a very big sucker for that kind of stuff. In this one, it's basically your prospectors. You're building your mining empire, so you have like these little pieces, and it's like territory bidding, area control esque. Mm-hmm. You're trying to fill contracts. You have a Makala mechanism in this one. I'll let you explain a little bit more. You know it better than I do, but yeah, I do enjoy this game. It's just you like it more. So go ahead.
I mean, you're spreading around your territory of what you're trying to do. You're trying to settle certain types of terrain around the map, but also at the same time, you're using the resources that you get to fulfill contracts.
I do have to say this about this version of it because I'm looking at it.
That's the old one, right?
No, this is the new one.
Oh, is it?
It's much easier to read the different areas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember the original. Here's the original cover.
Yeah, the original cover. And, honestly, I'd like that cover. I do like the new one better.
That's the old one.
I do like that. Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, well. Yeah, it's not beautiful, but...
this new one's much easier to read. Right.
No, it is, yeah. And overall, I think it's a great little game. It's smart how it works, because all you're doing is you're just choosing one area to go for, right?
Yeah.
And you can either spread your influence there, you can boost them up, you can make them better. And the original, wasn't that hard to read, but yeah, I mean, the new one is quite a bit better.
Yeah.
Because they have Vincent Dutrait art and Adam P. McIver, which is honestly a super underrated artist, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he's an awesome artist. We should do a breakdown of him one of these days.
Yeah, there's a beautiful, beautiful cover.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's a cover that can go on the wall.
Although, again, I don't mind the original.
The original's not bad. It conveyed what it needed to convey, but this is such a beautiful cover.
It is. But yeah, Gold West, overall, pretty cool.
Alright, the next one on our list here is Blood Orders. Vampires struggle for control of an unsuspecting city. Designed by Nick, that name, Badalakia.
Yep, and this doesn't seem to be a remake either.
No, looks like it's a new game. From the mechanisms, deck construction, hand management, simultaneous action selection, and worker placement. Sounds very interesting. In Blood Orders, 2 to 4 opponents each take the roles of powerful but disgraced vampires exiled from a centuries-old order and hoping to build a new underground kingdom of their own in an unfamiliar city. You're going to visit locations in disguise to gain resources, perform arcane rituals, and hypnotize the citizenry. But most importantly, turn hapless victims into the fresh, bloodthirsty vampires under your command. You must manage a continuously evolving hand of vampire cards at your command, sending them throughout the city to visit locations, perform arcane rituals, bewitch victims, recruit new vampires. 9 rounds. All of these activities take the form of cards activated by your order tokens on the board, allowing you to amass critical resources, perform useful actions. As your power grows, so does fear within the city, making your quest increasingly difficult as the days go by. This sounds very intriguing and something I might actually enjoy.
Yeah. Let's take a look at that cover and that board.
That cover...
First off, the cover, I like it.
I like it, but it's not my favorite that we've seen so far.
No.
Let's look at some of the components here. Board's not bad.
No.
Not great either.
That looks like Fidel up there, but... This is kind of weird.
It kind of does, yeah.
Very briefly. But there's a man in a top hat, and every game's better with the top hat.
Looks like your stuff is behind a screen. I've always liked stuff like that. I love that little bat thing.
Yep.
So it looks interesting. I love the cardboard cutouts here. That's kind of cool.
Bloods, weird green swirlies, or caskets. That's good.
I think the swirlies are supposed to be the hypnotic thing.
Must be.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Cool. I do want to try this one. I honestly have not seen this in the wild. It only came out last year, so it might be something you can only order online.
Maybe. Yeah.
Ready for the next one?
Let's do it. Next one, Troll Fest. This is by Bruno Faiduti. Camille Mathieu.
Oh, this is so your game. Do you read the tagline?
Build a better... Oh, that's right. That's right. This is a monster-themed, rock band tour thing. Build a better band than tour the continent on dragons. Freaking awesome. Anyway, so, for the first time, your band, which so far had mostly played in shadowy goblin and vampire venues has been invited to take part in the Great Troll Fest, which you will be. I'm sorry, this is so ridiculous. Where you'll be the opening act with such big names such as the Rolling Gnomes and Snow White and the Dwarves. In Trollfest, each player manages a rock band in a fantasy universe, recruits the most talented and charismatic musicians, holds concerts in the main city, hires dragons to transport and light shows, and ends up trying to give the best act in the festival. After the initial card draft of band members and action cards, players take turns moving around the map, performing shows, and improving their band composition to score points. Once one player has completed their tour, performing in a certain number of cities, the game ends, and the players score additional points based on their final band configuration. 3 to 6 players, family game.
This might be a Fidooty game I like. I love everything
That's
about
such a fun
the
concept.
mechanism, close drafting, point-to-point movement, set collection.
Dragons.
I mean, I do have a dragon tattoo. Let's check this board out. Pretty decent board.
Okay, yeah,
Not gonna lie, I wish it was better.
Yeah, functional. It's alright.
Let's look at some of these cards here. Now,
yeah,
the cards I like.
Make or break, yeah.
I like it.
Okay, I'm thinking I'm seeing some Esther Nightwish Firm. I can't read some of those, but it looks like they're
Alfreda Boulder something or another. I like them. I like it. It looks good. I like the dragon. Look at that light show right there.
Yep. The light show is the dragon.
Decent components.
Yep, decent pieces. Don't look bad at all. Yeah.
No, I kind of like it. I want to try this one.
And I had forgotten about this. I keep forgetting about this one until, and I remember how excitedly the guys at Trick or Treat Studio was telling me about this. They're like, no, let me tell you about this game. You got to hear about it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I might have to pick this one up.
Cool.
So next game on our list here is the one we were talking about where you got rubber band guns trying to fight the zombies.
That's right.
World Z League. Zombies' biggest weakness turns out to be rubber bands. Artist is Doug Nation. Designer is David Gregg. Zombies are taking over your town. Start shooting them with rubber bands, that is. Players set up zombie meeples in their player colors and around chipboard buildings. Then take turns trying to shoot down opposing zombies with rubber bands. Score points for opposing ones, but be careful not to knock over your own in the process, because again, you're going to lose points on that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is it set up. This is just really neat. It's got some nice little building pieces, some chunky wood pieces. Nope, that's a prototype.
Yep, that's a prototype. Now, there is something I found out about this when I read the rules on how it actually plays that it doesn't make obvious in this that I find really fascinating. There's a whole beginning round where you're actually setting up. You set up one piece of terrain, and then you set up a zombie somewhere. The zombie body must be at least halfway visible, depending on the terrain. But part of the game is you building it out and you knowing where you're putting your high value stuff.
Okay.
So there could be a little bit of bluffing. I could be like, well, I'm barely going to put this behind this massive building here.
Yeah.
And then that's really my 1 point zombie.
Yeah, no, this is fun. We had a great time shooting the zombies at Gamma 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only have one
22.
argument against. Yeah. I only have one argument against this game is that cover does not describe what the game is by any sense.
No, it makes it look like it's zombie basketball.
Yes. Kind of. Yeah. I mean, it has technically some rubber bands on it, but and I just realized that the main banner
is a rubber band, yeah.
But I don't understand World Z League.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah, it's good, silly fun. It makes way more sense to see it stand when you're playing up than it is for anything else. Maybe we should play that for Halloween this year. That'd be fun.
Maybe.
All right. The next one I definitely want to talk about because this is one that I have played multiple times and I'm very familiar with. Shadowgate: The Living Castle. Now, I believe one of my years, this was one of my anticipated games.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And I have bought this, and I have played it a number of times. 2 to 4 players, board game based off of the original NES remake, the original, Mac computer game, which was a point-and-click adventure. And then they remade it, about 6-7 years ago.
2014. For
the PC, and a bunch of really dedicated game developers went online and did a Kickstarter for it, and I did back it, and I have played the new one, and it's just as good as it is. One of the biggest things about this game is that there's two big parts of it. One, you're gonna die. Like that the original video game was all about you just dying in the most ridiculous ways.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, and I'm sorry if this is giving away spoilers to the original video game, but again, if you haven't played it, that's way old. So
that's like the 1980s.
not my problem. But there was one part where you go out to like a balcony, and it's like there's like a thunderstorm happening, and you have this metal rod. And you're like, I don't know what to do. So you jam it in like this crack on the balcony, and it straight up electrocutes you because you get struck by lightning and you die. Or you're like, all right, I'm gonna go approach this item that's near the dragon. He sticks his head out, he incinerates you. Mm-hmm. And part of the game is all about just the silly ways you die, and you die. It's hilarious how much you die in that. And this game is all about that too. There is a lot of situations where you're going to take death cards, where it's just -5 points.
Oh, okay.
That's about it. It's pretty simple. The game itself is actually really simple. You're getting items. You're just trying to get higher stats than the quests that you're trying to complete. Each quest is worth points until eventually there's a boss at the end where you're all collectively trying to beat him up. But really, it's the guy who like destroys him right at the end that beats it. You gonna take a break real quick?
Oh no, I just had a burp.
Okay, cool. And yeah, but Shadowgate. Overall, I mean, is it the most amazing game ever? No. But is it fun? Yeah.
Looks fun.
It's a good little silly game that we've demoed at the shop a number of times.
Alright, so the next game here is another one that I'm interested in.
I know you're interested in
this one. Is called Creature Feature. It's a Richard Garfield design. This one is the game of hand management bluffing. Your movie agent representing actors who excel at particularly monstrous roles. Each round you are assigned a co-star, a star, card numbers with value, and special abilities. In additions for a role, a tile worth points. Everyone reveal their co-stars and have the opportunity to change where they're auditioning for instead of try for lesser films for fewer points. Winning parts and score points, but there's a twist. If your star has a lower value than your co-star, you can't win unless everyone else stops competing for that film. But if everyone does back off, you score extra points. So it's interesting how you have to finagle this. You're basically playing cards like this where you have a star and your co-star and the numbers need to match up. But yeah, look at that art.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Such good art. That's another thing about Trick or Treat Studio. They don't skip on the art.
No.
But yeah, I do want to try this one. It looks interesting. Another one that I could pick up at Barnes and Noble in our area. Sure. So I keep waiting for them to do put this on like the 50% off sale or something.
It would go by real fast.
I feel. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it looks really interesting.
Awesome. The next one is a game that's just brand spanking new. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it came out like less than a month ago. It's cool looking.
Yeah.
Scott Rogers is the designer. This is a cooperative survival game where you are trying to go through.
Not to be mistaken with the Prospero Hall Texas Chainsaw Massacre board game.
This is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre board game.
Yeah.
That is the official title of it. The other one is like Slaughterhouse or something. And so this is based off the original movie, and this uses the same idea that you are just trying, depending on the size of the team, you're trying to look through the area, search the grounds to try and find the key and the gas to get in that truck and get out of there. If you do that successfully, you win. Now with this game, I've played it twice so far, and the first time was miserable.
Was it? Oh yeah, because you're telling me because you don't play with certain things.
Right, and so in the rules, I'm going to tell you guys right now. If you're interested in this game, I still think you should try it and play it because I think it's really fun.
Okay.
But the first time I played it, it was miserable because it suggests that you do not play with objectives. Just ignore that because objectives are not that difficult. There's 9 that you can choose from. I say shuffle them up, deal each player a random one. Go with that. Because the second time I played it, so much better. Because it's almost too easy to play without objectives.
Okay.
Like, we finished it in less time than it was to set up.
Okay.
Like, we just, like, found the right items. We're like, oh, that's it? No. So we can go? Alright, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, like, I think at one point, like, my co-player, he stuck his head in the door. He was like, all right, well, okay, there's a key, cool. And then we just like left the property, and that was it. It was really underwhelming. But
sounds like it.
when we played with objectives, that stepped it up, and that was so much better. That was like the same thing. Like, oh no, you have to win at the start of your turn. That was the same idea. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, really fun little game. I enjoyed it. And by the way, pull up the picture of that bag.
Yeah, that's that. I was going to that thing.
It describes in the rulebook as the grotesque bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's an actual thing in the movie. So.
Yes, that is really disgusting and an amazing prop. And you have a little barbecue food tray for the slaughterhouse cafe, whatever. That's the first player marker, and it's actually functional too because when you search the tokens, you put them in there into the tray, and then at the end of your turn, when you need to refill the bag, you just dump them from all the all those into there. It was really cool.
That's kind of cool. The next one here is one I'm really excited for. I mentioned it earlier. I have played this, but not this version. This, from everything I read, is a re-implementation of Emerson Matsuuchi's Spectre Ops, which was by Plaid Hat Games. It doesn't tag it on here, but this is a one versus many. One person is playing as Michael Myers, and he's chasing down everybody else. Based on the original classic movie Halloween, it's one versus many. Most of the players will run around the board searching for houses for useful items and kids. Tommy and Lindsay, those are the kids from the movie. They can win the game by either causing enough damage to Michael Myers or finding Tommy, Lindsay, and a set of card keys so they can escape safely. Meanwhile, the player controlling Michael Myers will stalk them. And because he's only visible when someone is looking directly at him, he'll be ever-present danger throughout the game. The Myers player can win by killing enough characters or preventing the players from escaping for long enough. If characters is killed, they lose anything they're carrying, but will come on the board with a new character from the movie. So it's action points, hidden movement. It's a team-based game. From what I've read, it's a re-implementation of Spectre Ops. The only thing is it's in reverse. In Spectre Ops, you're the hunters trying to find the hidden player. The hidden player is trying to hunt the actual players. But I do have this on pre-order. Shipping is supposed to be happening about the 15th, so I might not be here when it comes in. So that's why I'm going to have you take a look at the house.
Sure. Yeah, that's the reason. There's just this game.
Oh, there and a couple other games, but yeah, for this one for sure, because I'm really that cover is so nice.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I love that
board is awful.
I don't know if that's. I think this is just a prototype board, but I love that the fact that that's the rule book, that's the movie poster for the original Halloween.
Very cool. And the last one we wanted to talk about today, Treasure of the Dwarves. This is a remake of Dreadful Circus, which surprises me because Dreadful Circus was a really dark theme. I didn't realize they were remaking this, but deep in the mountains of the Dwarven Realm is where you'll find the best deals. Treasure of the Dwarves. You place treasures up for sale, then evaluate secret bids of other players. So, I'm not going to read the whole thing because the way it works is quite simple. If you're familiar with Sheriff Nottingham, it's kind of that idea, except the way this works is less about people bringing in their own stuff and you deciding whether you get it or not. This is more, they will be offering you tokens or money or whatever to try and buy whatever card you're selling. And you look at them and in whatever order you want, but then you decide on each player. So what that means is, like, let's say I put out a card, and you and our other two mutual friends are playing, and you're like, hey, by the way, I'm just gonna hand you my box. Shake, 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 shake. Anyway, here you go. Like, make a real big show of like how loud it is, and it's just like completely over the top. And I could look at yours, and then like our mutual friend, Gamehead Geek, might slide his over quietly. It's like, you should look at mine first. Just trust me. And so what's going to happen is I look at his, and I immediately decide right then and there if I'm taking that or not. Because if I hand it back to him, I cannot come back to that offer. And I have to decide before I see anyone else's that I haven't seen yet.
Okay.
It's awesome. It works really well.
I'm not a huge fan of Sheriff of Nottingham, but the way this works sounds a little bit more interesting.
I'm just surprised that they changed it from Dreadful Circus, because that was already a really dark-looking game.
Probably because they didn't have the rights to that, where
maybe not.
They can change the game style to this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that was the original intent, was that it was Dwarven treasure theme. But yeah, I don't know. It just seemed odd. Either way, it was awesome. I like it a lot. So...
All right.
There it is. That's Trick or Treat Studios. We hope you enjoyed this overview of their games. this breakdown of the company itself and what to look for when you're buying games, especially during the spooky season.
Yeah, no, a lot of their stuff intrigues me. I'm finally gonna get my first Trick or Treat studio in my house. When I get that Halloween, I do want to try some like the Richard Garfield and stuff like that, the Knizia one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really do enjoy the look of their stuff. I love spooky season. I love horror games. I love horror movies for that matter. So like, I remember when we were talking about like our most anticipated games, and I found the Halloween game. I got super excited because Halloween was my favorite scary movie growing up. It still is one of my favorites. But the fact that they're turning it into a board game and it's made by one of my favorite designers and it's got great art, and I've met the guys at Trick or Treat Studios and I know how much they love doing stuff like this, makes me happy.
Very cool. So we want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you ever want to join us on a live episode like our friend Illuminous or any other of our viewers, you could do so at twitch.tv/everydayboardgames. And by the way, if you're with us right now watching this live episode, stick around. We're about to film another right after.
As well as all video re-uploads are found on YouTube under youtube.com/@everydayboardgamespodcast. If you like what we do, there are 3 things you can do to help us grow on the platform. Subscribe if you're not. Like the video and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject. As well as all audio versions can be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, Podbean, and now Apple.
And if you ever want to contact us directly, you can email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com, whether that is to enter in a future contest, say hello, give us ideas for episodes, or, by the way, if you still want to go with that sponsorship. What company was it that we said again?
Game Nerds.
Game Nerds. If you want to go with that spot, let's.
Yep.
Anyway, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
And remember, every day is a good day for board gaming.